I have to lock them out. Welcome everyone to our first episode of Chop It Up with my four brothers here. My name is Damon Pearson. I am the moderator of this show. And a little thing about myself, Damon Pearson is a former pimp and player, but now I'm a child savior. Sometimes you'll get a little jokes from me in here and there. I am a father of a beautiful, handsome son who happens to have special needs. I work in child services for over 21 years. And as we go, you get to know a little bit more about myself. I'm very transparent about my life and everything. So I'd like to pass it over to my brother, Derek. Derek, tell the people about yourself.
All right, y'all. Derek, I'm the other D. All right. Happily married, middle-aged man. Father of three. And, just living life, man. Trying to make a living. You know, the most revolutionary thing you can do is be married with children in today's date. So I try to keep that going. I actually work with special needs adults. Been doing that for 2 years. It's become a passion of mine. All right. I think I'll always be doing that moving forward. And that's it, man. And I'm just living life, man. Loving it. All right, pass it to my man Rodney. What's going on, brother?
What's up, man? How y'all doing? Rodney Mitchell. Thanks, Derek, for that beautiful introduction. I appreciate that. My name is Rodney Mitchell. Basically, I am a formerly divorced black male and a presently remarried black male with 6 amazing kids. I'm retired from NYPD as a sergeant, and I have a bunch of life experience that I can share with a lot of people, and hopefully I can help people out with a lot of the experience that I've experienced during life. But that's pretty much it, and I'm going to pass it on to Calvin.
Calvin, he's coming in. I think he had a little technical issues. The screen went out for a second. So hopefully Kelvin can get in here soon. Yeah. And well, let me just give you a little background. Kelvin's coming in. Is it? So a little background. What Chop It Up? It's going to be about. It's the viewpoints of from a black man's perspective on a lot of different things. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of things from politics to current events, hot topics, stuff like that. So just be prepared. Take the journey with us. We're going to be entertaining, very fun, and sometimes be very silly and very serious at the same time. So I think we have a little technical difficulties with Kelvin. So I'm just start off with since this is dinner time, it's 7 p.m. I want to start off with a little appetizers here. So some of the hot topics that's been going on lately is one of the things we've recent in the news is Dr. Dre getting a divorce from his wife. If many of you don't know, Dr. Dre was getting a heated divorce, and his wife was trying to get $2 million a month from him. I mean, she wanted those beats from Dre, and she wanted those from Tupac.
She wants the money from the Chronic.
Word up, and she like what you were gonna say. She wasn't shooting in the gym. So, you know what I'm saying? She was at the end of the time. But, I know a lot of ladies might get upset from what we just said there. But, $2 million, I mean, Rodney, you and I both have been divorced before. So what are your thoughts on this topic?
Yo, $500,000. I mean, to me, like, I don't know. Did they say that she did well by getting $500,000 or she did poorly by getting $500,000?
She's doing better than me. I'll marry Dr. Dre tomorrow for $500,000. Goddamn it!
$500,000 a year. Do you know what you can do with that? Like, how much toothpaste and toothbrush do you need? I mean, that's ridiculous.
How much hair weave and butt lifts can you have?
Exactly. The thing is, he's paying out. He had a prenup on top of that, correct?
Prenup. Yes, he had a prenup. What's your thoughts on prenups, Rob?
I'll be totally honest with you. I believe in them. I know. I look at it like this. I know why millionaires get prenups. They got to protect all their assets, the money and everything like that. But to me, I think regular people should have prenups too, because you get hit with a divorce and you like making $40,000 a year. You lose half of that shit. You making 20 now. You back in your mama's basement, yelling from the basement stairs, "Mama, is those chicken tenders ready?" You know what I'm saying? So the bottom line is, like, I think you need a prenup too. And plus, people say, "Oh, I don't need a prenup. I don't have nothing." Well, everybody starts off with nothing, but then you start to accumulate. You might acquire a house or 1K plan. You know what I'm saying? A lot of different assets you can acquire.
Children alone.
Children alone. But you're not getting out of child support. There ain't nobody.
Nah. Let me ask you a question though on that alimony situation though. Like, so how do you feel? Like, say you come in, you don't make a lot of money, and your wife comes in. You know, she doesn't make a lot of money in the beginning. You know, but now later on you start to acquire. So how do you decide? How do you decipher who owns what? And I think because isn't that part of the equation? Like how they figure it out? They can't be bothered with who did what. Like, you know, we know that know Dre's wife ain't, you know, nobody saw her in the studio. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So maybe that's not the best. But I'm just talking about, since we're talking about less regular people. You know what I mean? Like, you know, how do you separate that, man? How do you come to that understanding?
Well, the way they do it, they have the thing called community property, right? So community property is things that you acquired while you were married. So that's like a 50-50 thing. Like basically, people have this misconceived notion that, oh, we bought this house, but the house is in my name. But you were married to this guy or this lady when you got the house. I don't know how to break the bad news to you. That's both of your house. Because when you get to court, that's what's going to happen. Yeah. Now, in New York State, there's no alimony. There's spousal support. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, most women choose to take the child support over spousal support because you're actually going to get the child support at a higher rate. So you want you get more because your chances you're not going to get both. And plus, spousal support is temporary. They give the spouse, whether it's the man or the woman, time to basically get another job and get back on their feet.
Right.
Or it's just temporary. Where alimony, that shit is permanent. Like you're gonna be getting that shit for a long time. I think the only thing that stops alimony is if she gets remarried, and I don't think that's gonna happen. Why would she stop?
Yeah, I remember that because when Suge Knight was one time said he was gonna pay for anybody married his ex-wife, he's gonna pay for the wedding.
Wow.
She has to weigh options. She has to see how much she's getting compared to if she gets remarried. Whoever she's marrying, he gotta have money. You know what I mean?
Nah, man. Listen, that pool boy is straight now. You know what I mean? She got her pool boy. She got her money from old man. You know, she's
He'll take his $7.50 an hour and put it with that 30 million.
Do his part, right? To the household, right?
So real quick, I want to get back to that topic, but I want to just make sure we introduce our boy Kelvin. Kelvin, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you, gentlemen, for having me. Unfortunately, I just got caught up with our international feed, so we was over there stuck. But I am back on prime time now. I'm Kelvin. I'm a graduate of St. John's University. Been working with youth and young adults for 30 years. Very, very excited to chop it up with these great esteemed men tonight. So thank you for having me.
Kelvin, I will pay you your money for saying a nice intro about us a little later on tonight. I'll pay you nickels and dimes, actually. But
I'm gonna cash app it to you right now.
So Kelvin, one of the things we were just talking about was like this recent Dr. Dre and his divorce and stuff like that. And a little bit of people don't know about yourself, like you're a minister and you married a couple of people, and I'm sure that you probably counsel people in marriage counseling. What do you say to people if anybody, a spouse comes in and want to talk about they would think about getting a prenup beforehand? Because what is Dr. Dre's wife, she was asking for $2 million and she wound up getting $500,000 for the divorce. What are your thoughts?
Well, one of the things is, especially involved in ministry, when it comes to marriage, I think it's very, very difficult. I always wondered when I'll go and meet with a couple and the couple's in marital bliss, and then you fast forward and see these two people really can't stand each other, and it goes that thin line between love and hate. It's really, really hard to imagine how it happens. As far as a prenup is concerned, realistically, I think it depends on the people. It was something I never really believed in. I do think it's something to say about civility, that even if you can't get along in your relationship, that you could actually be fair. And I think what's happened now, I think one of the things that some prenups do, it seems to give the impression that we're banking on things not working out. And I think sometimes it puts a wedge in for people. But I do understand why people do it. I don't think anybody needs to be exploited. This idea that people need $2 million or X amount of dollars. It was, I had a big discussion once with a woman who was married, and her phrase was, well, I had his kids. And for whatever reason, to her, that meant that she had the right to take more than he did. And so I think it's unfair. It's something that I really don't necessarily agree with. I do think if you build things together, that you should, if you have to dissolve the marriage, that those should be the things that are divided up equally. So I'm a proponent for that. As far as prenups are concerned, I see both sides of the fence. And a lot of people believe if I trust the person enough to marry them, if I love them enough to marry them, then I trust them with everything without a safety net at the end of that tightrope. So I think it depends on the person. I'm actually a person that never believed, I believe in prenups in one way. If you ask somebody to marry you and you don't have any money and they say no, and you still with that person, and then you get married when you do have money, then that's the only time I agree with it.
So I get what you're saying, and on you know, like the what you just said, the last part of it. But to me, it's like it's marriage, like Ronnie and I talked about before. Like marriages, a lot of marriages wind up in failure. Marriages to me are like restaurants. Yeah. Most likely they're gonna fail. You know, they're gonna fail. They're gonna fail. They're gonna go out of business. They're gonna go out of business. They're gonna go out of business. You know?
And the thing is, you're gonna discover really quickly how much marriage is business when you're in that divorce court.
Absolutely.
That word love is not going to be mentioned one time in that court.
No.
It's going to be about what is the most I can walk away with. That's what it's going to be about. And that's why the thing is, when you're in the courts, then basically at that stage, there is no love. You know what I'm saying? In lots of cases, you know, it's come down to strictly business. And that's what it is.
Yep.
But a person said something to me that was very interesting. They said a lady had just gone through a divorce. She said marriage is the greatest contract that we sign that we know the least about.
Correct. I agree.
You know,
that's very well said.
That's extremely well said, Calvin. Kelvin, let me explain something to you, right? You know, you do pre-marriage counseling, correct?
No. Now, this is the thing. I want to say this to be clear. Okay. I'm not married. So what I do is I send people to professional marriage counselors. And the reason I do that, I really believe marriage is one of those things that you have to have experience in it to advise other people. Now, that's just my own belief. I really feel like unless you are in those situations where you've actually had to live through a marriage, I don't think your advice is as valid. And that's just my own opinion. I know plenty of people in ministry who are single who do marriage counseling. I always thought it was a contradiction. So I send them to professional marriage counselors. And what I've always gotten, I've gotten two things. One, I'm glad we did this because usually the guy is resistant to it. It's usually the guy that has been my experience. That's true. And secondly, I've sent people in marriage that were in trouble and they would go to counseling and say, I wish we would have done this before we got married because they realized there was a great value in it. But I don't want to take away from your initial question. Go ahead, Rod.
No, the thing is, that's very deep what you said. And the thing is, that it shows the kind of character that you have. Like you'll be willing to say, hey, this is not my field, so I'm going to back out of it and continue somewhere that can get some help. Now, if you want to talk about something else, I'm your guy. I like that. I commend you for that. The thing is, too, like I remember when my first marriage, I got married and basically we went through this pre-marriage counseling or whatever. And I just noticed that the minister would talk about, oh, this is what makes a great marriage. This is what makes a great marriage. Do this, do this, do that. Never one time, which I wish had happened, did he ever mention, if you guys' marriage goes wrong, this is what's going to happen. There was none of that. So basically, when going through the divorce for the first time, that's when you learn, just like you said. But the thing is, I think by the time that happens, it's too late. You're going to learn the hard way. Where I think in like marriage counseling, somebody should have been telling us also that, hey, if you guys' marriage doesn't work out, these are the situations you're going to go through court. You're going to go through this. You're going to lose this. You're going to lose that. Everybody's going to have to relocate. It's a lot of things. Kids are going to be affected. They won't see dad. They won't see mom. You know, holidays will be affected. They're not talking about any of that. Now I understand they're saying, hey, maybe that might be a negative stigma. We don't want to talk about the negative. We want to talk about just the positive. But that is real life.
You got to give them the real, though. Yeah, no, I really feel you on that. You got to really give them the real, you know. And maybe a lot of people that's getting married don't need to get married. You know what I mean? Once they understand,
that's true.
You know, once they understand the full
that's it right there. You know? A lot of people get married for the wrong reasons too. You know what I mean? Like I never thought that I would ever remarry. But the thing is, in my second situation, I felt that like, well, this seems to be a much better look for me. This person's more compatible for me. Well, maybe make sure she's around. So when I'm giving her this compliment, you around, baby? But,
don't say nothing crazy, Rod. I hate to see you get here on camera. Shoot you on camera. I don't want to see that, Rod. I don't want to see that right now. That would not be a good look.
In the room, right?
Yeah, that would not be a good look for us right now, man. That would not be a good look.
Yeah, I just, and plus, like I said, I was a little bit older. You know what I'm saying? Had more life experience, able to see through a little bit more nonsense. And like I said, the situation just made much better sense this time. You know what I mean? So I used to be against remarrying, but I can actually say now that I'm not against it. Not saying it's for everybody, but for me, it worked out the second time. You know, for the better.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'll say this. Biblically, there was a mistake that I used to make, and the scripture talks about that the two shall become one. And I misinterpreted that for years, thinking that it was someone incomplete that had to meet someone else and they would be incomplete. And then you come together and make a whole person. You need to know who you are before you get married. You need to understand certain things. I think what people do in error is people will try to acquiesce. You know, people will date people and they will give them a false impression of who they are. And then what happens is you come into those things with these false impressions. You can disguise who you are until you seal the deal. And then all of a sudden the person comes out. Like I've spoken to several women that says, well, the guy I'm with is not affectionate. There's a lot of men that are not naturally affectionate, were never taught affection. And those are things that you need to vet people. You need to actually see people for who they are, at least try to, because at the end of the day, you'll be with the person. Now, I think when it comes to a lot of men used to get married, especially it depends on what age you are, for superficial reasons. And then you've got to ask yourself, if it's just for physical things or it's just for superficial reasons, what happens when the figure 8 turns into the figure O? What happened when the Coke bottle turns into a mayonnaise jar? Then what happens? The question is, do you actually love the person?
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? And that's the thing. If not, it won't be sustainable.
Because if you're lucky and you're living the life you lead, that's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? If you're living the life that you're supposed to live, that's going to eventually happen. You know, but that's I just want to say one thing though, because you mentioned something about the affection that men have, we have to deal with. Like, I mean, men are not, we're not taught to be affectionate and everything, but that also plays into, I feel like a lot of identity of manhood as well. You know what I'm saying? Just like, just you have to be a certain way, you have to walk a certain way and hold yourself a certain way. You know what I mean? So
real quick, my sister in the chat, right? My sister Brenda said, prenups are the seeds for divorce, period. The real is, if you need a prenup, don't get married.
I say if you don't want to sign a prenup, don't get married. That's my personal opinion. I'll be honest with you. If I present a prenup to somebody and they don't want to sign it, then I'm not marrying them.
And that's an ideology. And they have two, you two both have two separate ideologies. Now, there are some people, there's actually, I believe the prenup is for when things go wrong, correct?
Correct. It's a safety net. That's what it is.
Right, exactly. And some people believe that it is a lack of faith to have to put that safety net there. Now, again, I'm saying there are people that believe it either way, because if you do put it there, some people believe that if you put it there, you're putting it there because you're going to use it. Or it suggests that I don't see it. Right. No, I get that. But that's why some people are saying that, because years ago, the generations before us, you remember it was you stayed together regardless, which may not have been healthy, which may have been dysfunctional or abusive relationships. And we had great grandparents and great grandparents that started having children down south when they were 13 and 14 and 15 and stayed together and had multiple children. But it's a different time and it's a different world, and people have taken a different perspective, especially women. So, it depends on the person.
Yeah,
I don't feel this way about just men. I think women should be able to ask a guy for a prenup as well. I think it goes both ways.
Oh, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
What I mean? As norms, roles of men and women start to change and intertwine and everything, and things always start to fall away. You're going to start seeing a lot more of that, I believe.
All right. Well, let me ask you this question: what is the deal breaker? You all that are married or have been divorced, what do you think the deal breaker is? What is the thing that you say? This is the one thing that, because some people believe a marriage and love can survive anything. Obviously, maybe that's erroneous information if there are people that are getting divorced at a record clip.
The deal breaker
what is the deal breaker for you?
The deal breaker for me was when my wife didn't let me have a girlfriend.
See, that's what I'm saying. We
and she was wrong.
I want to say the views represented by the moderator do not represent.
Come on, man.
Hey, you know, man. Listen, I keep messing around with y'all. This is my first marriage. I'm still on my first marriage, man. I don't know how this is gonna work, man.
Yo, you're gonna be back in your mama's basement with those chickens.
Now, what I'm finding is a generation of young people who no longer believe in the concept of marriage, and that's what I hear a lot across the board. And that was kind of surprising to me. But there's a lot of people that don't believe in it anymore, and it's almost like it was a negative depiction. A few nights ago, I was talking to some young people, and they were like, we were fed the lie of that happily ever after. And so it was really, really interesting to see that you have a generation coming up where a lot of people don't believe in the marriage conceptually like we were taught. And so I think that's one of the issues also, because if you don't believe in that, I think when you go into it, you may go into it more as a business proposition and less with love. And I think love is a key ingredient. I mean, I don't think we should discount it.
Yeah. But you see what you just said, what we were taught. And that circles back to what we were talking about, the whole idea of prenup being part of the marriage counseling. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you have to make them understand. Like, if you go into it and you understand, listen, you're in love right now and everything's fine, and I wish you the best. But if it doesn't work out, X, Y, Z is going to happen. These things you're going to look out for. You know what I mean? You got to start thinking. You know what I mean? Are you ready for that? You know what I mean? People don't understand the gravity of it. You know what I mean? They kind of go in, they go, oh, I'm in love. I want to go ahead and, they want the wedding, they want the pictures, and they want all of that. But then that marriage thing, man, that's a day in and day out, day in and day out. A lot of it ain't sexy. You know what I mean? It's just, you just live it. It's your lifestyle. You know what I mean? And the lifestyle is just that. That's how you live your life. And people will grow in different directions. The way you were, the space you were at one point, you start to grow out of that. Now, you're separating from the person that you were with. You know what I mean? But you got to understand, like, you're supposed to marry, you're supposed to be walking it together, ideally in the same direction, pushing each other forward, walking with each other. But sometimes it doesn't work out like that. So you have to make people understand how serious that is. And maybe that needs to be part. Maybe the whole prenup conversation needs to be in there. Maybe it'll wind up with people having the actual opposite effect. Maybe people stay together longer or more. You know what I mean? Once they have to make more informed decisions. I'm all for informed decisions anyway. That's just my style. So
right, that makes sense.
And I also want to tell people that's listening, hit the like button on YouTube and Facebook, but also we eventually would love to have women in this chat too. I'm trying to follow the chat. I've got my phone. People texting me at the same time, and I'm looking at the chat, so it's kind of hard. But we want to get the women's perspective on this. We just, like we said before, we're getting it from 4 brothers' perspectives. Sometimes you don't get 4 brothers in the room to talk about stuff like that. So we want to give women a little insight on how we view things too, because then they say men are from Mars and women are from Venus. So I just want to make sure we people understand it. I'm trying to follow the chat and at the same time. A lot being said here.
Yeah, I just saw one of the comments that I kind of agreed with. I think the person was Keisha, but the thing is, she said a lot of people get married for the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
and I noticed that that's the problem too. And I also noticed too that society pressures women
to get married.
They have to get married, like they have to have children. You know what I'm saying? And the reality of it is, I feel sometimes that stokes the issue of going into the marriage for the wrong reasons. I also think that in this day and time, like young people, like you shouldn't be getting married in your 20s because you're too much about yourself at this point.
You haven't developed yet. Your mindset, 25, your mind,
at
25, your mind hasn't developed yet. You're still trying to figure out yourself. Like I always tell people, my 20s was my mistake years. It was figuring out shit. Dumb stuff, all the crazy stuff. Think about we was talking about earlier, how much drinking we did, all kind of dumb, crazy stuff in relationships. You don't even know yourself yet to involve yourself with someone else in their drama, in their troubles. We haven't dealt with our own trauma from our childhood yet. Why are we bringing people in there at 20? If I could do it all over again, I swear to God, I'll tell anybody, I won't get married until I'm in my 40s. I wouldn't have kids.
I would say do late 30s, early 40s.
And listen, and the whole thing with black women thinking they biological clock thinking, my grandmother had my uncle like at 47. Like black women age a little. your whole system age a little different. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
You don't be chasing around those little ass kids, man. When you're in your mid 40s, man.
Trust me, my son is killing me now, man.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
But y'all gotta admit, it's nothing like partying in your 20s.
Oh, absolutely.
But you know what? Let me say this thing. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know what? I think one of the big issues
like
is
Rob right now. Whoa.
I think one of the big issues.
Oh, you too, right?
Whoa.
I think we have to address this.
Right.
Do young men taught or reared or raised to truly know how to love a woman? And it's something that we touched on before. In other words, there's a reason for all this and things. And I'm saying, pop culture has a lot to do with it. The way you view women. Society is definitely giving us a depiction of women that is unrealistic and unfair.
Yeah,
so the question is, you see a lot of young men. Look at a teenage boy and see how he deals with a girlfriend standing at the bus stop, how they deal with young ladies, how they interact with young ladies. A lot of these young men, especially those that don't have a paternal reference point, are in cases where somebody's asking you to act out a role that you've never seen played before. And so when you get it wrong, we shouldn't be shocked because you don't have an example. You know what I mean? I always wonder, do men still have the love for women? I mean, years ago, they would write songs about women.
But you're right. The thing is, like, I witnessed my parents were married 39 beautiful years. Most of my older uncles and aunts, they all been married a lot of years. So if you don't have that blueprint, that guideline to show you what love is, like my friends always say, my friend Brad, whom I like, my father was everyone's father. I could set my way my father treated my mother. Like my lady, any woman that's with me, not just my lady, any woman that's with me, know I'm gonna open the door for them at all times. Right. That's why. Right. That's what you witness. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a protect a lot of these dudes, a lot of girls. I feel bad in their 30s. This is the fuckboy generation because our generation kind of messed it up because we got selfish in the 90s from the crack era. We was selling drugs to our women, all kind of stuff like that. I think we got real selfish with ourselves.
And how old were your parents when they got married?
Oh, this is back in the day, motherfucker. They was probably damn married at 10, but no, they was like 20, I think 21, something like that. My mother and father,
which was common.
Because there was no cell phones. That's
what
and we had no cable. They ain't nothing to do, man.
We had no Instagram.
Because once daddy left the house, he was gone for the day. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't get in touch with him. You know what I'm saying? So that when the cell phones came down, adultery just went through the roof. That's what happened.
The side chicks were better back then too. They were quieter back then. The side chicks wasn't snitching. Side chicks wasn't popping up at your job. Side chicks, they just roll real good. You know what I'm saying? So
side chick etiquette, huh?
Better side chicks back then. Way better side chicks back then. Way better side chicks.
All right, listen. I want to make sure that people don't think I'm endorsing what D is saying because he'll slip it by you.
I'm just laughing. Baby.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing.
Yeah. So
the thing is, I think Calvin. I see you as a genius now because you're always saying something that's pretty.
I put the disclaimer out there quick.
You did, right? But the thing is, like
you gotta say the words that's coming out of my mouth.
I think as young black men, there are a lot of things that we're not taught about how to love a woman. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm about to admit something on this air that I have never really admitted to my wife. My wife taught me how to be affectionate, where I was raised, you know what I'm saying, where, I grew up in a very loving house, predominantly women and everything, and I was being raised strong. Oh, you got to be tough, you got to be this, you got to be that, But the thing is, I wasn't taught how to be affectionate, you know what I'm saying? So that I definitely had to learn. You know what I'm saying? We have this thing where, like you say, we always have to be hard. We always got to be tough. And plus, I grew up as a teenager in the '80s. Those '80s was off the chain, man.
Off the
You
chain.
had to be tough, you know.
Maybe we just need to have a love education, because a lot of us don't even know what love is and don't really even know how to love, like love ourselves. You know what I mean? We just not. That's just part of it. Like, you just not. How do you know you're not taught to be affectionate if you don't see it? You know what I mean? And to the point that it's even shunned, because we also, I'm a child of the 80s as well, 18. So we also know that you had to hold yourself a certain way. You know what I mean? And so that was frowned upon. An emotional young man is frowned upon. So you never learn to express that part or explore that part of yourself. You know what I'm saying? And that's and for something that is so important to your development. You know what I mean? Not only socially, but mentally, emotionally, everything that's going on down the road. You know what I mean? You would think that there'd be some sort of education or something. I don't know what you would do, to kind of prepare you for that, man, later on. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Someone said, Keisha said, unfortunately, these girls now are allowing these boys to treat them a certain way, and then they think a man will change when the guy gets married. That's so true. I mean, and they sometimes you have to train people and let them know who the fuck you are. Like this is how you're gonna treat me. Like that's it. Like, you stand on these grounds. Like, if they can't, it's like, I think it's a pigeon. I'm not a pigeon. Like, women need to test their men sometimes to see if they could be able to hold what their standard. It's a penguin that has a rock. I forgot which penguin it is. And the lady tests him by giving a rock. The dude can hold this rock and carry this rock. He's worthy of having children with her. I mean, babies, whatever you call them, bird. I don't know how bird, pigeons call. I mean, penguins call. But you know what I'm saying? But whatever it is, it is.
Reproducing with her.
Yeah, reproducing with her. Exactly. And that's what people have to understand. The women really need to hold these dudes accountable on that kind of thing. Like,
well, D, if you can't have a standard if you don't know who you are, I think it goes back to that. The other thing is this. I think growing up, I remember, outside of like my parents, when you get around older cousins or you get around guys at the barbershop, there was this idea of trying to tell a woman anything she wanted to hear just to get with her. That was this thing, and it was almost like a playing field.
They stopped
playing field. No. I just stopped
doing that.
No, I just changed my perspective. No, you know what I'm saying? Like, in other words, so at the end of the day, this idea that when you're a teenager, just try to sleep with as many women as you can, as many girls as you can, almost like there was some type of testing ground. And I think that's the issue. You know what I mean? And then you merge that with hip hop and some of the depictions of, you know what I mean? I remember one year, Snoop came to the MTV Awards with 2 women on leashes. Do you remember that? Anybody remember that?
Yes.
He had 2 women on leashes.
Yeah, then he was with Don Magic Wand back then.
Then there was this thing where this point of contention where I think it was Nelly had a video where he took a card and swiped it down a woman's backside. Remember that? And I believe Spellman or somebody, I don't know if they booked him and then they canceled him or something. I think they started boycotting him. So these images, Nelly's defense, in his defense, he said it was a woman that came up with the idea, really didn't matter. So the way we had been, like I said, the way the depiction was coming.
Put the card in?
Okay, see, I want to put my other disclaimer out. The things that Rod said.
Did money come out when he put the card in?
Hey guys, I want women online to know that I'm not saying this. I'm just giving you examples. I mean, so objectifying women seems to be part of young manhood. You was almost taught to do that. There are fathers that have helped their sons arrange schedules where it's like, all right, she may be coming over at this time. I'll tell the other one you're not home. So once you start partnering in that, so a young man learns how to be deceptive from older men or young men or cousins and stuff like that, and that carries on. That just carries forward. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things.
You're old enough to raise yourself. I
want to move on to our next thing real quick. Recently, since we're on the topic of like men and women, Megan Thee Stallion recently, a few weeks ago, got shot in the foot by this midget, Tory Lanez. And recently, Tory Lanez has just been arrested. I guess the charges are brought against him. What do you feel about? There's a lot of times like black women saying they're not being protected and stuff like that. What do you feel about this topic? If you know anything about it, and how you feel about it?
I don't even know who that is. I'm sorry.
Well, Tory Lanez is he was a little midget R&B singer, little pygmy looking dude, and he shot Megan Thee Stallion, who has a song with the wet ass pussy with Cardi B, who happened, she happened to block me on Instagram. That's another story why I got blocked from that. But so we got the song wet ass pussy.
You're saying the story is confirmed though. This did happen. You're saying?
Yes, this did happen. So, what do you feel when like women saying they're not being protected, black women are not being protected? And
well, first of all, let me say this: that's a big stretch between women not being protected and women being shot by the protector. That's a big stretch. I'll say that. I think it's two different. Yeah, I think there's two different subjects. One of my friends alluded to that. She said, "I just don't feel that black men cover us enough." Now, recently, I brought that to her. She said, I'm starting to change because she's seeing that. I think there was one example. She was saying there was a time when Serena Williams was being criticized by the masses by the way she looked or something like that. And she just thought black men should step up and kind of protect us. I'll say this. This is something that bothered me. And I know this is probably going to sound irresponsible on my part or sound foul. Do you remember years ago when Halle Berry, the year after she won the Oscar for Best Actress, Adrian Brody gets up on stage when she's presenting him with his Oscar and pulls her back and just kisses her, just tongues her down with her husband, Eric Bonet, sitting in the front row.
Right.
And I remember saying to myself, it's about to happen. That this man is going to go up on that stage on national TV and beat the fireworks out of Adrian Brody. And I thought he was going to do it. And when I saw pictures later with him and Adrian Brody and Halle Berry taking pictures together, I have to admit it bothered me. Because I'm saying if you are a black man and you hug Julia Roberts wrong, or Catherine Zeta-Jones wrong, they probably gonna stop the awards. And that bothers me that you can actually do what you want to one of our women or one of our sisters, and there seems to be no repercussion because what he did was very, very disrespectful. As a matter of fact, if he did it now during this era, it would probably be
he'd be me too. It'd be a wrap.
But I didn't like the way that happened, and I thought Eric Bonet should have actually stepped in. Now, again, I have never been married, but if I would have, I think that would have been the moment to step up. You know?
Yeah.
Am I looking at that wrong, or if it would, you guys have been married? Am I looking at it wrong?
No. She would have passed anyway because in that relationship, what I understand, because later on he was taught she put him through it on the divorce. He was talking about he was a sex addict or something like that, man.
Yeah, he said he had a sex addiction.
Yeah, something like that.
He had a sex addiction so bad that's why he couldn't keep his shoes on.
Yeah, I'm not saying like
it's Halle Berry, man.
No, come on.
He after lunch anyway, man.
No, black people, we don't walk around barefoot everywhere. We ain't walking in no stadium barefoot and all this other on stage. She should have known better. This dude was a little left-handed, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Okay, so listen, staying with the thing about the women feeling disrespected or not protected. Okay, so what is your responsibility or obligation as a husband when it comes to defending the honor of your wife?
How does
that work?
I think your responsibility as a husband is to uphold the understanding that you have in your relationship with your wife, man.
Okay.
If you come in and with the understanding that you are going to be the protector, provider, whatever, the traditional male, and hold that traditional role, then that's what you got married under, that understanding, and that's your job. You need to hold that. You know what I mean?
Okay, so let me ask you, Derek. So in your wife's profession, she being in the top of her field brings you to an award show, or not award show, but a banquet or something where she's going to be honored. Some gentleman in this particular scenario, he's white because just that's who it was, and just being honest, that's who it was. And he hands your wife the award and just tongues her down for a second.
So let me tell you about my wife, first of all. Right? I wouldn't get a chance to whoop his ass. I wouldn't even got a chance to whoop his ass, right? My wife has combat training, all right? My wife boxes, bro. You know what I'm saying?
There we got 20 seconds.
You tried to defend him.
Yeah, listen, there's no old adage, so you see me in the fight with a bear, help the bear. Yeah,
right,
you know what I'm saying?
right.
You gotta help him. You know what I mean?
Hey guys, we gotta go to commercial right here. We're gonna wrap it up. So we'll give us a 1 minute. We'll be back with more of Chop It Up. Welcome back to Chop It Up. That was a good first way to start off a little fun and little games and a little seriousness with that. So a lot of the biggest thing that's in the story and that's going on in the news now that will affect all of our lives in the upcoming years and probably for decades is the topic of politics. So recently this week we had the vice presidential debates between Kamala Harris and Pence. And I want to know what you guys take and feedback on what you guys thought about the debates. Start off with Rodney.
Yeah, I watched the debate with Pence and Harris. But the thing that drew my attention so much was Rudy McFly. I thought Rudy McFly stole a show. Now I'm gonna say what everybody else was saying is that basically we know that flies are attracted to shit, right? So the thing is, I mean, for a fly to land on your head and sit there and chill for a huge portion of the debate, how ironic is that?
That's like one of African flies, man.
The fly was huge. The fly had on a backpack, kid. The fly had on a backpack. He was there to stay. But all jokes aside, the thing is, there was one issue that bothered me about the debate. Is I kind of definitely felt what they saying was true that that Miss Harris basically had to like tone herself down. You know what I'm saying? Because I seen her when she, she's addressing people at the Senate and stuff like that, and she be coming for you. She gonna get up in you. Yeah. But the thing is, I kind of felt like she had to be reserved because she didn't want to come off as the angry black woman.
Absolutely.
And, you know what I'm saying? And they got a big lead right now, so they didn't want to blow that lead. So basically, it was like the 11th round in a 12th round fight. You blowing the guy out. You don't want to get too close, and the guy get a lucky punch and knock you out. You know what I'm saying? So that bothered me about it because I thought, I want to be able to see her as I know her and how I see her get down. You know what I mean? And I wasn't able to see that. That's the only thing I had a problem with the election. I was expecting Pence to tell lies and all of that stuff like that. That's just the norm.
Mm-hmm. Derek, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts, Derek?
Man, I don't even know, man. I think that is one intelligent system. It's just a shame because I've actually heard the opposite on the other side because I like to do a little opposition research. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hear one side. So on the other side of the spectrum, I also heard that she, with regard to Pence, the way he was coming for, the way he was like, cutting off. So they were saying, okay, is it okay for a man to cut off a woman now, in a conversation, you know what I mean? Like when it comes to that kind of debate, I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit, but, just speaking more along to speaking more to like norms, how a man should allow her, he shouldn't mansplain, he should allow her to speak and that kind of thing, So and how we were going to move forward with that. And I don't think, but to your point, I don't think we need to worry about all of that. I think the other side of it is, of course, like you said, Kamala really trying to really not seem as though she was an angry black woman. You know what I mean? Not to really go off and detonate. You know what I mean? To kind of play, to play the lead. So I'm just enjoying. I'm not enjoying the damn thing about these debates, man, to be honest with you. But I do find certain things interesting, just to kind of see like where we're going, where the changes are happening, the things that we expect, the things that we're used to, and how we're kind of changing into like this whole new realm of, this whole area of being and how people interact, and what we think of one another, what we think of our so-called leaders, So. Yeah, but other than that, man, I think right now I don't think the debate moved anybody, one way or the other, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I don't think there's very little that Kamala Harris can do or say that will gain her or lose her any votes in the debate. I think people are kind of hardened right now. We're just I think everyone's kind of we're just waiting for the day that we can just vote and people are gonna, they already made their mind up, man.
You're right. Because the thing is, anybody that's walking around today that's saying that they're undecided, I have no idea where you've been the last 4 years. What have you been paying attention to that you're still undecided? So I figure maybe you being undecided is basically your nice way of saying that I'm going to vote for Trump.
Maybe. But I legit know a lot of people who are undecided too. Like I legit know, I didn't know there was so many black Trump supporters. I didn't get it, but I know a few, and it was just, it was just amazing to find that out. I was like, okay, cool.
But this is one thing I want to ask Derek. So if you're undecided and you're saying I've watched this man in office for 4 years, correct, I just need these next 3 weeks to really make up my mind. Like the 4 years that
didn't mean nothing. I slept that.
Right now, these last 3 weeks, now you're gonna show me something. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. I think one of the things is this: debates have changed since we were younger. We didn't have a 24-hour news cycle then. These candidates didn't have a website then. Everything that they stand for, everything is written somewhere, chapter and verse. So if it's a decision about popularity or stability or who can outclass who, I thought Pence did exactly what he was going to do. If you remember when Pence debated Kane years ago in 2016, Pence lays on the ropes, and then Pence is going to let you charge him, and he's going to pivot, and he's going to change. So you have to, because if I heard the lady say one more time, "Thank you, Vice President. Thank you, Vice President. Thank you, Vice President." Man was going to just make his point regardless of the question. Right. And that was it. And it is difficult to put her in a situation. Now, I will say this. I think when it comes to you having 2 minutes to answer the question, I think they both did this a lot. They wanted to make sure that you knew that the other side was liars and you had disdain for them for about 1 minute and 30 seconds. Yeah. And then they would kind of touch on the question. The issue is this: when you debate somebody, if you can keep your blood pressure at a normal level and watch them unravel, it looks like you won the debate. And so the things that he's saying that are erroneous, we all knew that. She knew that. But at the end of the day, Pence looks way more presidential than Trump does. So I think he gets credit for that. Looks.
Daddy, that's a low bar.
Yeah,
right. And that's why you gave them credit, just for being able to hear what they were saying. That's why, right.
Mm-hmm. But I think, to be honest with you, with the interruptions, I think that Pence intentionally did the interruptions for the sake of Donald Trump to basically show that, listen, this is how we get down in debates. We're going to get our point across. We're going to force it across. He didn't want to look like he wasn't making any challenges, because look at all those interruptions that Donald Trump did. So he's got to follow along with his leader.
Well, this is stealing rounds. You remember when you'd watch boxing and a dude would start shuffling his feet and then he wind his arm and he do all this other that. Because if you have nothing left, you try to get some style points, right? You try to show the judges something that, you know what I mean? And I think that's what it is. Some of it is style, right? Because Kamala Harris one time says, you know, to me, when Donald Trump was saying something, it was a lie. And Pence was like, we've always told the truth. Like right there, I mean, you honestly cannot believe in your heart that this man tells the truth. Nothing about, you know, this administration suggests truthfulness. They're the ones that came up with the phrase alternate facts.
Alternate facts.
They came up with that.
Kellyanne Conway.
Right, exactly.
So the bar is so low in the debate. It's kind of hard to call them debates, man. I'm telling you,
right.
Kind of like, you know, this is kind of hard, man. You know?
With that, you know, with that said, like, let's look at today, guys. We saw that President 45 had basically 2,000 people meet on the lawn at the White House today. What are your thoughts? And I saw a lot of I don't want to call them a bad word.
Yeah, I know.
C word. I call them the raccoons that was out there today. And then, like I said, like Kelvin said, these are the words that are coming out of my mouth. But we saw a lot of I saw a lot of raccoons saying wearing red hats and stuff like that. So, you know, what are your thoughts about this with him having COVID? And people don't know, I had COVID-19. I had it pretty bad. And I still have a lot of things I'm going through now. Still got a lot of tests. I go to test probably like once a week for dealing with my lungs. If you see me taking breaks and holding my breath, it's because I'm trying to just gasp air. So, what are you guys' thoughts about him today? How he handled COVID, and you see him today with his little rally in front of the White House. And what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about how he handled his having COVID this week?
To me, he sound like he, you know, I've been checking out, man, with that guy, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, it's just overkill for me, man, with this dude, man. Like, you know, it's just hard to listen to. You know, and I mean, maybe I feel a little guilty about it, but there got to be people out there like me, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you know, it's over, you know. And this guy's out here, and he's you know, he's doing rallies, 2,000 people, super spreader event. You know what I mean? You know, and he's playing around. He's playing around like it's not real. You know what I mean? So it's kind of wild. You know, this guy's got the best. He's got the best healthcare that, you know, you can think of having. You know,
speaking of healthcare, no ironic thing what you said about the healthcare, because some of the stuff he's using, and they're supposed to be anti-abortion and those other stuff, but this is from dead fetuses. That the medication is from dead fetuses. Oh, So you're anti-abortion, but you need these fetuses. You need these fetuses to get you
make the medicine.
Make the medicine.
So, like I said, that's back when, you know, that's back when Republicans were Republicans, and, you know, like, I don't know what they are now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, I don't know where we are.
No, they're overt Klansmen now. That's what they are.
That's right. No, we might as well.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm not gonna go into that.
Let's call a spade a spade.
Right, I'm an independent. You know what I mean? I'm literally, I've been independent, you know, since the early '90s. You know what I mean? So, you know, I don't, you know, but listen, this is not the same Republican Party. These are the same politics right now. And this dude, man, you know, he's creating this environment where these people will go out, and, as you call them, the raccoons are gonna go out and spread. You know what I mean? And, you know, I don't know, man. I think they were all there just asking no question. Hey, Massa, we sick? You know what I mean? That thing, you know. So, but, you know, it is what it is. But I didn't, like I said, I didn't know that there were that many, you know, Trump supporters, you know, that with my level of melanin, which was very interesting and eye-opening to me in recent times. You know, so I don't know. You know what I mean? You just got to figure something out, man. You know?
Yeah, it's like, you know, so Kelvin, like, you know, this guy not taking it serious and stuff like that, and you still have like some black people saying like Trump is for us. But we saw enormous numbers of black people dying from COVID-19. I mean, we all probably know someone that lost somebody. I probably know over 30 people that's been affected. No longer here with it. I can't just say affected, but I say not longer here with it. So, Kevin, what are your thoughts on like the black Trump supporter?
Well, let me say this. First of all, it's I want to put this out there. It's kind of hard for me to be objective because I have disdain for this administration. I think it's made a mockery out of the office, and I think it's a great embarrassment. And I think what it did was it just revealed a lot about the country. I mean, things that I suspected and thought all along. I think it revealed it. As far as Black people with their right to choose who they want, I have no problem with that. My issue is the fact that you are never critical when a person is wrong. This idea that you agree with everything a person does. I may not agree with your politics, but at the end of the day, there has to be something about civility, the way you are as a leader. We don't agree. I mean, people didn't agree with Obama about everything. There's some things he did that I love. There's some things he did that I wasn't in favor with. But what I love, the fact that he always had decorum. I was very, very proud to see him in office and the way he conducted himself. That made me very, very proud, because if Obama, if Trump was Black and the first Black president and conducted himself like that, I would have been embarrassed. And so the people that are Black people who support Trump, if you support Trump because you think that's where your interest lies, I have no problem with that. If that's where your interest lies, my issue is the fact that you never hold his feet to the fire about anything. You cannot justify the actions of somebody being wrong. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that he's been wrong about. There's a lot of things that he spewed a lot of false information. And for you to stand behind that, that's my issue with it. When it comes to politics, everybody has an opinion. Everybody, people generally vote what their interest is. So I think what I'd like to say is this. If I were a multimillionaire and it gave me tax cuts, but it hurt 90% of Black people that look like me, I would rather sacrifice the tax cuts so my people would be better off. I think there's always been this issue in our community where you've had certain people that have been too selfish to look at the masses, too selfish to care about us collectively. And I think more than anybody, we need solidarity amongst ourselves. That's the thing. So people that back him, they have a right to do it. But I think if you do it and he's putting down your people, if he has been derogatory about your people, if he has fanned the flames of racism or racial ideology and you support that, that's my issue. And I think that's what a lot of people have done. I think like Kanye West, to go to that White House or that Oval Office and sit there with that hat on and hugging this man. And I never heard Kanye West talk about his own father. And you in this office talking about this man is like a dad to me or something like that. That looks, I had a father until he passed away in 2013. It was very, very, he made a point to make sure that one day I could stand up on my own as a man, even if I had to stand by myself. And when I see that pandering to someone else, especially not in our community, that really bothered me.
Yeah. That's very deep. Like, so in this week, we not even this week, just a couple of days ago, actually, right? We seen these white supremacists want to basically kidnap and kill the governor of Michigan. Now, the funny thing to me with these pro Blue Lives Matter, one thing, Blue Lives are not a person that's a choice. Because I could damn sure work for sanitation. Then I'm Green Lives Matter. I'm walking around Green Lives Matter. So they wanted to go and they loved the police so bad. Think about it. They were going to try to kill the police. And Ryan, you can speak on this because you're former NYPD police. The governor, mayor, and political figures have a detail. So to get to her, they would have had to murder blue lives to get to her. Right? Am I correct, Rodney?
You're absolutely correct. Basically, usually when in politics in that city or state, usually the people that do the security are police officers. So basically, you're 100% right. If they were going to basically kidnap her or attack her, they're going to have no choice but to injure or hurt police officers who are protecting them. That's just the thing. But the thing is, too, you notice that this homegrown terrorism is growing like crazy since Trump.
It's never left. Because think about that.
No, I'm just saying it's growing. I know. Started. Yeah,
they've been terrorizing us forever. And I think some white people forget that we're American citizens. When you had the KKK and domestic terrorism, always been there, and it's always going to be a part of.
But yeah, Blue right. The Blue Lives Matter is a job, and Black Lives. It's a race of people. It's a totally different thing. But that's just people just trying to change the narrative. You know what I'm saying? They're just trying to get you off of people, black people just trying to stand up for, their rights or fighting for equality and shit like that. It's just something just to get people talking in a different direction. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's all.
So
Is this the worst that you've ever seen it in your life as far as
when I left
racial divide?
Yeah, this is the worst I've ever seen. I never seen anything like this.
Yeah, and Ronnie, your wife just recently retired during this rough time of all the protests going on inside here in New York City. So and you're seeing it firsthand because you've once had to deal with those. You've been through the Eric Garnett days, and you've been on the job for 20-something years. I mean, we can go down a list of how many
things I've seen.
How many things you've seen, especially dealing with racism in New York City, and your wife recently in this current time dealing with all that's going on. So it's ironic and crazy that these white militia guys were always live with the police department. You have all these and Trump's with the police department, but these people want to kill because he emboldened them to want to kill this governor basically because he put the battery in their back and said,
"Correct,
hey, go get him."
Right.
Correct, because she wouldn't open up. That she wouldn't open up a state.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this.
And this is, we can't forget we're talking about the president that's doing this.
Yeah, I know.
I tell you one thing. D's known me for a long time, and I speak the truth, to the best of my ability.
That's crazy.
You have police unions endorsing Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Police unions endorsing Donald Trump. All right. So now, I don't know how you guys see it, but I also see Donald Trump as a criminal because definitely broken some laws, done things that's illegal. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, for law enforcement to back someone that's basically a criminal, are you making a statement that it's okay for a white man in power to break the law? It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know one thing when he was telling everybody not to show up to the Congress with those subpoenas. You know what I'm saying? They weren't doing it. That's breaking the law. Let me not show up for the subpoena and see what happens to me.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be consequences and repercussions for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I was very disgusted when I saw that, when I saw the police unions endorsing Donald Trump, because basically it kind of sends a message to me: you can only recognize criminals unless they're black or brown.
Yeah,
you can't recognize them if they're in a suit or if they're white.
And these police departments, a lot of them are mad because we got Joe Biden talking about, and Kamala Harris want to tack on the stop this violence. And there's two things white people understand, especially when in white officers. The only thing they understand is money loss and blood loss, right? So if you start taking, it's like, why should I, as a taxpayer, pay for your wrong that you did to someone look like me? You got to stop. They got to stop this with attacking. They have to attack these pensions, and that's the way you would stop some of that ignorant shit going on inside those police departments.
Yeah,
so that's why my thoughts.
But I think D.
Go ahead,
I think all this is the byproduct to the seeds that have been planted in the foundation of this country. I had a chance to talk to a young lady who was 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
She was Italian, and I love the discussion of race. And she said, can I say anything to you about race? I said, yeah, we can have a conversation. 18 years old, freshman at Hofstra. She said, my father told me I'd rather you be gay than be with somebody black. Okay.
Wow.
And it's interesting because when I tell white people that, they're like, no, she said that. And I'm like, yeah, because you feel that way too. You just shocked that she said it. And I'm being tongue in cheek with that. I know everybody doesn't feel that way. So I started it gave me an idea. So I got a white male, black male, an Asian male, and a Spanish male together. And I said, I want you to tell me where you developed your racial ideology at.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me something that was perpetuated in your household or your community that no one was supposed to know about regarding race but you. So the Asian guy said, I'll tell you, he said, we're raised to believe we're smarter than everyone else. Mm-hmm. He said, if I were to get something less than an A, my father would disown me. He said an A- in the Asian community is a failure. So I was like, oh, your father stopped talking to you for a little while? He's like, no, my father would act as if he didn't have a son. Then the white male told me, he said, I believe there's a double standard. He said, I believe that that minorities could say whatever they want about white people, but if we say something back, we're labeled as racist. Then the Spanish gentleman said, you know, I came here undocumented, so, you know, I just wanted to fly under the radar. And it was this thing like, you know, you don't want to attach yourself to other black or brown people because then you'll suffer the same fate that they had. And what I said was, when I was a kid, my parents used to tell me all the cliches that your black parents would tell you, that you got to work twice as hard to get half as far. And, you know, you got to outwork your white counterpart just to have a chance to even compete with them and things like that. So I started just trying to really, really find out where people were at. So this white woman asked me, she said, I never heard the term white privilege until I became an adult. She said, so I want you as a black man to tell me, what is it like being a black man in the United States of America? I said, imagine playing in a sports league where every game you play is on the road, that you have no home field advantage. And you get the impression that you could win sometimes, but no one is rooting for you to win, that you're always up against, you know, opposition. I said, that's what it's like to me being black in this country.
That's deep. That's deep. That's
ain't bad.
So since you're saying, like, since you made a little kind of, I'm gonna segue into sports and COVID-19. So we recently we had the NBA did I think myself, NBA, we had NBA basketball going on and shit. I think they did the best job at this COVID-19, the way they quarantine and everything. And that just goes to show you with great leadership how things can work out, because you had Adam Silver, who's a great commissioner for the NBA, and how he has grown the NBA internationally, how he's handled this whole COVID-19, that they didn't have any cases. When you're talking about a contact sport compared to Agent Orange, that had months in advance to stop this spread of things going on right now. So and then we just recently saw COVID-19, how it changed up with NFL. NFL right now, who's a big supporter of Donald Trump, a lot of the owners there, you know, because they you know, got a run for me, that we starting to see the numbers spike up in the NFL, you know. And baseball did pretty good job, not a bad job at all. They now went to a system where they have these I guess satellite sites where everybody they play in these last few games of the playoffs at. So what are your thoughts about how sports handled it and what you saw so far in the COVID-19, and how do you guys feel about sports? I know, ladies, you can chime in, because I know a lot of y'all watch NBA. You like to see the boys in the shorts and all that stuff. So don't act like a stranger when it comes down there. You like seeing the guys in tight little football pants and stuff like that. So let's play fantasy. So what's your thoughts, guys?
Well, D, let me say this. First of all, every team I root for is a bunch of scrubs. That's what I want to say, first of all. So I just be real. I'm a Jets fan. The Knicks are scrubs. I mean, it's just like, I'm sick of just, even my Yankees got beat yesterday. So it's a lot. I'll say this. I think, you know, obviously the times are unprecedented. I have to admit, I was one of the people that wanted the league to go back in a bubble for this reason. I wanted them to go, especially the NBA, because there's a lot of people that are employed by the league. And I know that the collective bargaining agreement, the owners are billionaires. And I heard someone say this. I can't remember which player said it. Excuse me, I'm sorry, it was a journalist. And what she was saying was 85% of NBA players live check to check. Now, again, that was Elle Duncan from ESPN that said that. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's what she reported, that 85% of NBA players are living paycheck to paycheck. I thought it was important.
That came from a player from the Portland Trailblazers said that. I think he.
Okay, so maybe she's reporting on what she said.
Everybody in the league doesn't have $1 million contracts either. No, you say predominantly most of the people in the league are making less than $1 million, right?
Yeah. Well, the NBA is guaranteed. So the NBA, I think the minimum NBA, I think, is maybe $850,000. The last person on the bench, I think they're in that range. Either way, you definitely still shouldn't be paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, the NFL is different.
The NFL leaving out is that, I mean, these guys spend a lot of money, you know, right? So they have these huge lifestyles that they're trying to support. So I can kind of see some people.
Yeah, because I've been to the strip club with them. So I mean, I know what they spend, and I try to catch the ones.
I wasn't with you, D.
Allegedly.
You weren't on the pole, brother. You got on the pole.
D was investigating. He's doing some investigative reporting.
I was doing research.
Right. Well, I thought, you know, right now I'm really in favor of anything that jumpstarts the economy. Like I want to see people, restaurants, movie theaters. I just hope people, because I think we all need each other to have this thing work the right way. And so I wanted to see them. Secondly, I wanted to see them. Somebody made a point to say that it gave them a voice and a platform, whereas if they didn't, you wouldn't have the same platform. The Black Lives Matter being written on the court, it still kept it in people's faces.
They're taking it off now, right?
I think that'll be it for this year. NFL, the first game of the season, they sung the Black national anthem, I believe, instead of the current national anthem that we have. I think those things are good, but primarily I wanted them to not only be able to have the platform for their causes that they represent, but I wanted, people that would not have a job to actually be able to broadcast, or whoever's doing the trucks or the security or whatever. We needed that, and I just thought it was necessary. And I do believe that the NBA is the best run league out of all of them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. I think
somebody just said rookie salary is $190K.
No, 890.
Yeah, the NBA rookie salary is $189.
No, $890K. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, got you.
Be small. Thanks, man, for that, brother.
Yeah, that's my man. That's my man, Brad. Love that brother right there. Because and people don't understand also with the NBA contracts. Remember, the first round people are the ones with the big contracts. Second round players don't get that kind of money. So that.
And then it's third, and then it's fourth. And it gets less and less.
Yeah, so it's like that. NFL's even that's when they go later rounds. But but the but I want, like you said, Kelvin, I want the economy to open up. I want the strip clubs to open up. I mean, I need women. The Glass Hills shoes have been running low, and I'm seeing them on discounts right now. We need the strip clubs to open up right now. So right now, the OnlyFans is the only thing popping. So OnlyFans is like so we need somebody to get some money out here besides OnlyFans.
I love it. And that's how it went
right. I think at the end of the day, what I do want to see is I want us to be able to also have more ownership and more stake. And I think this generation of player is really heavily vested in that. I want to see us do that. I think they've learned to take leverage, across the board. The day that they decided that they were not going to play, two teams just walked off. They shut down the whole league. And when you are the league, when you are the product, you have to use that leverage. Everybody else uses leverage. And I think that we have to do it. I think it's important to do things sometimes as a unit, as a block. And realistically, one of my friends always told me, as a matter of fact, two of my friends, two Black women who are very in prominent positions, they told me, it's like, whenever you have a chance to make room for one of us at the table, you need to do it. Mm-hmm. And they've done it in their respective careers. They're saying because other people are not going to open those doors. You know what I mean? And I think Stephen A. Smith, when Steve Nash was hired as the coach of the Brooklyn Nets, Stephen A. Smith kept lobbying for Durant and Kyrie Irving to make sure you have them interview some Black candidates, at least to get their names out there, at least to get, and some people took exception to that. But, we don't have advocacy. We really don't have that person to just step up for us. And I always thought about this. Years ago, traditionally, they used Black men in particular in this country for labor. So then when other groups came to this country and would do labor cheaper, realistically, what did they need us for? Outside of sports and entertainment, where are your Black millionaires at? You got realistically, I always said, if there was a white man that could do what LeBron would do, LeBron wouldn't have a job.
You got a point.
Because we don't have ownership of the teams. So it's like people give us opportunity a lot of times that they have no choice.
Yeah, listen. If Chinese people start learning how to cut Black hair, Black barbershops is out of business.
Done.
I always thought that. I'll be honest with you.
Dominicans are doing that already.
They're out of business. The Black barbershops, our former barber. Kelvin, your former barber, he come in anytime you want.
Okay, D, you ain't have to. D gonna get me boycotted, kicked out the barbershop, everything. But go ahead. Yeah, that's something that we talk about with our own culpability. I'm a small business owner now for the last 5 years, and one thing that's important to me is to make sure that we have a level of quality and professionalism. And that's just how we were raised. Just you want to be that. And I actually tried to treat my people even better. I want to even raise the standard, regardless of how I'm treated in return. But I want us to do that because I think there's a way. I'm gonna make this statement that my father said was taught to him when he was in the Air Force, Vietnam veteran, 1970. My father's in the Air Force. He said when he went to basic training, now mind you, I'm quoting him, what was said to him in the Air Force. They taught him in the Air Force during that time, said that Koreans are the most dangerous people by nature on the face of the earth. That's what they told him then. And I'm sure, that's a stereotype, and I'm sure, so I'm just saying it's a quote. Mm-hmm. And they also told him that Black people are the most dangerous people to themselves on the face of the earth. Mm. And the drill sergeants actually said that. And so some people always believe that we are our own worst enemy, that we treat people ourselves worse than anybody else. And whether that's true or not, maybe by virtue of everybody's own experience. But I just think, when we have our businesses or the way we conduct ourselves, that's very, very important, especially amongst ourselves. And I want to treat our people because I've tried to patronize some of our businesses. And if it opens up at 9 o'clock and you get there and there's a sign on the door at 9:15 tomorrow, I'll be back in 10 minutes and stuff like that. I think
that's going to be a whole nother topic because we can talk about like why is no more oxtails at the restaurant. That's going to be another thing. And don't be stingy. Don't suck your teeth when I ask for oxtail gravy on my rice. Please, come on,
put it on there. I'm the customer. Give me mine.
That's gonna be a whole another time we're gonna talk about that. Black business. But one thing with this form, and we got a few seconds before we got to get to our next commercial. One thing with this, all our friends and family that's on here, that you got brothers in here that have businesses. We also want to support your businesses. So if you can, please send us the links of your businesses. We want to shout you guys out. If you want to do a little commercial thing, we want to showcase you all. We got to stick this together. Like we're starting out. It's our first night. We're going to have hiccups and stuff like that. But we want to make sure that we support one another. This is what this is all about. Like when Kelvin said about the NBA, guys taking about ownership and stuff like that, and thinking about and LeBron starting schools. We have to start like this. Like right now, we don't have a pot to piss in, a window throw it out. So right now we in the struggle together. So we want to support one another. I got friends like Shauna who makes jewelry. A lady makes turbans. I know Keisha she makes meals and stuff like that. Rodney's ladies make sea moss. Kelvin, I use Kelvin services tons of times where Kelvin's own, correct me if I'm wrong, Kelvin, you own all the rights to the cleaning services in Sears in Queens. Am I correct? Sears own,
right. That's correct.
That. And then and Derek, he also like the videography and stuff like that. So please let us know that we support each other. So my super producer Sammy Jammy, I think we're going to commercial. Sammy,
we're going to get out of here. We're going to go
roll us to commercial, Sam.
We're going to talk about this video, this toxic masculinity video, man. We're going to start talking about that, man. Let's get into it on the other side.
Toxic what?
Oh man, we're gonna deal with that in a minute, brother.
We're gonna talk about that, brother. So we're gonna get on that. Sammy, roll us the commercial, brother.
Let's go.
Welcome back,
All
good
right.
people. Welcome back. Oh, we lost Kelvin. It looked like we having technical issues here. We lost Kelvin. So,
Yeah,
Derek, you can start off. Okay, he's backstage. Okay, these commercial breaks ain't long enough for us. Hey, there go Kelvin. I didn't know if you went to the bathroom and got stuck it back there. We didn't know, brother. So we just making sure you're back and whatnot. So, Derek, you was talking about tax. Go ahead, Derek. It's your segment, right?
Yeah, it was toxic masculinity. What is this thing that we keep hearing about, man? Toxic masculinity. Is it a thing? Is it something that I don't know what that is. What is that? Does anybody know? Is it just? It seems as though I can understand. Maybe we're relearning new ways of, we're supposed to be getting better. Every day you get up, you try to be a little bit better than the generation before, maybe, and maybe we are learning some of the mistakes we made in the past. But I don't think masculinity. I don't think there's anything toxic about masculinity, is there? You know what I mean? It's like, it is what it is, isn't it? So anyway, I think we got a little video that we're gonna talk about. Someone's gonna be talking about that, and we're gonna see if we can get into that on the other side of the video. So let's see what's happening. You ready?
Growing up, a lot of black boys are always taught to never show signs of sensitivity and to always be tough. But how does this play out when he becomes a man? From an emotional and mental health standpoint. Think about it for you. How frustrated are you when you feel like no one is hearing you out? Why do you think it's taboo for young black boys to be sensitive? I know for me personally, I've witnessed, a black male crying, and you can hear somebody say, you need to suck it up, you being a bitch, or you need to man up.
Right.
Why is that taboo in our community?
I give it straight to the black community. I can dig into systematic oppression. I can dig into racism and slavery, how that's fed down to the black family, but we perpetuate it. And what we've done is we've made it where the black boy can't even grow up and discover for himself what it is to be a man. So I hold it all on the black community. We perpetuate that you have to be strong, that you have to be an athlete, that you have to look a certain way and stand and walk a certain way as a black man. So until we're able to change that and switch that dialogue and stop pushing that, perpetuate that stereotype on our black kids, it's going to stay the same.
Why do we have to be strong? Or not we. Why do you all have to be strong all the time? Like, I know that has to get tiring. Like, why do y'all, as a black man, why do you have to be strong all the time?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the mantra of the big black Hulk, the big black Mandingo. It's this thing that the black community holds up high. And, not to blame black women, but from my mother to my grandmother, they're very responsible for me kind of shunning those emotions and making sure that stand up straight, and I'm from a single parent household, so it was very big for my mother to impress that upon me, to make sure I'm standing up straight, that my head is always held up high, that I act like a man is supposed to. So back to the black community, they push that, they perpetuate those stigmas on us.
So I guess that's the question. This is very interesting. It's toxic masculinity. Is it kind of perpetuating negative perceptions and perspectives, or is it an attack on manhood itself? Let's talk about that a little bit. What do you think, Rodney? What's going on, man? What do you think about toxic masculinity, brother?
Well, I mean, just from watching that video, I guess I learned what it is and what they were talking about. But I mean, I can relate. I mean, I see, from when I used to work in the police departments, just the streets. Everybody has to be hard. Everybody's got to be a thug. Everybody's got to be a killer. Anything less than that is unacceptable. And the thing is, too, most people are trying to live a life that they can't even live up to. You know what I mean? I don't know exactly where that comes from, but I do remember myself being young, and as a kid, you were raised to be tough. You stood up for yourself. You know what I mean? If you believed in something, you stood tall. They told you not to cry when you fell and hurt your knee and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things that I think that the black community pushes on black males. You know what I'm saying? Like, the thing is, I think we also get pushed to be promiscuous. You know what I'm saying? Because remember being young, uncles and cousins saying, "Hey, how many girlfriends you got? Here's a couple of dollars. Go take one of your girlfriends out." It was always perpetuated that that was part of masculinity too, based on how many women you have. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I see it. I mean, you look at rap too. Everybody in rap gotta be street. They gotta be hard. They gotta be thorough. You know what I'm saying? It's that's just what's perpetuated in the black community. You're not allowed to be soft. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Well, this is what I think. I think there's a couple of reasons for it, and I think from inception, I think the reason was they knew what you were going to face out here. Yeah. And I don't think it necessarily came from a bad place, you know, as far as the motive is concerned. I remember my father saying, you can't spoil a young black man because the world is not going to spoil him. And so I think that they were trying to prepare you in some cases to deal with so many different things, because we constantly are swimming upstream. You're swimming against the current. So before you can even deal with some of the racial stuff you have to go through, you got to deal with stuff in your neighborhood, depending on where you grew up at. I think it's a kind of a trickle down effect. You know, there was a time when people took comfort in the drug dealer because he had power in the neighborhood and he could either protect the person or remember they used to say that drug dealers would protect the athletes if there was somebody that was good enough. They let the neighborhood know that they're untouchable and things like that. So I think there's so many different things in place. They were trying to, you know, reminds me of people that are military. You know how they'll have drills to simulate what you're going to experience in a war. And so I think some of the things that are taught in some of our more dangerous neighborhoods, it's really to kind of keep you alive. And I think what it is, it had an adverse effect. You know, I had one of my cousins tell me, he's like, you know, I used to let anybody know, I bring it to anybody. If somebody stepped to me with it like that, he said, I did all that out of fear. Fear that somebody would try to do something to me. So I had to try to get you first. So I had to try to intimidate you first. It is unfortunate that we don't have the freedom, as the young lady was doing the interview on that clip, don't have the freedom of growing up and feeling safe and feeling protected. You always feel like, you know, you got to worry about something. You know, it's always something that is coming as a predator. You know, I listened to Mike Tyson's podcast, and he was talking about growing up, you know, in Brownsville, and the threat of being beat up or the threat of being actually raped and all these different things was a real threat to them. And I mean, it's frightening. So these kids grow up, and I think they adapt to their environment, and the people that raised them who come from the same environment, I think they feel the same way. It's a fear that you want to make sure this doesn't happen to your child. So, and I think after that, I think it is dysfunctional probably. But I think it may come from a place where people really don't know which other way to tell you. But hey, don't trust. You know, you ever see people like, I don't trust anybody. I hear people say that, I don't trust anybody. That's got to be a terrible, sad life to not trust anybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How are you functioning? You can't trust anybody.
Yeah.
What do you think, Demar?
First of all, I'm kind of mad at Sam used the clip and showed me my wrestling outfit with my man boobs. That was cool. Like I don't know where you got that video of me when I had man boobs. Well, I still got my man boobs. I'm currently working on my man boobs right now and everything like that. But it's something what you guys all said. But it's a segment. I don't know if anyone watches Lovecraft Country, but this last episode was
love it.
Love it. It's one of the best shows on TV right now. Yeah. And what it was, and the part where I forgot the guy's name, but we all know him as Omar from The Wire. He was saying, like, it was a segment where Emmett Till got killed, and his best friend was a young lady in the show called, her name is Dee in the show, and he was talking to her like this. They basically like, this was going to happen. They killed us like this before. You got to be tough and stuff like that. And I got it. Like, you trying to, like, because like you just said, your father told you, Kelvin, because the world ain't gonna be fair to a black man. I totally agree with that. And that like, you know, when somebody says that's toxic, I think it's just trying to prepare you for what's going on. Like, my father told me certain things. My father he told me, I'm gonna be honest, my father said, don't date white women. Because shit, this can go down. You can wind up being some more Emmett Till shit. But because he grew up witnessing that. You know what I'm saying? That, and when Emmett Till got murdered,
that was a reality.
That was reality of his time. So, you know, my father was like, he was preparing me for how the world is. My problem with the word toxic masculinity,
that's coming from the job too.
That's a father's job to get you ready for it. Like his experiences. My thing is what's going on now is who that calling it that, who's it coming from sometimes. Because to me, people that say about to me hate masculinity have never been masculine. Yeah. Or you know, so that bothers me. They don't even want to recognize that they have masculinity in them. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, and so, or a person that's been harmed by, like, they judge masculinity by one asshole that they dated or witnessed, or so that's what my problem with the whole word of toxic masculinity come from. Like, who's it coming from when they say that? I understood the sister in the video, and I understand what the brother was coming from in there, but that's my biggest problem about the whole word of toxic masculinity.
Yeah, I think we're coming into a time where when as men, we're going to need to have certain conversations around emotions. All right. I remember women, growing up, women had to learn, let's say in school, about their own sexuality. We had, we had sex courses, you know what I mean? They teach you about your body, women had to teach women about menstruation and everything else that was going on with becoming a woman. But there was never anything for men. Just, let's say, we need to have something teaching us about emotions, about the, how to about love, and how to express ourselves, and or how to overcome some of that old stuff, how to just process some of the things, because for so long, so for so long the motive, the way we operate was just to suppress, what I mean? Don't think about how you feel about a thing, just kind of keep moving forward and do what you need to do, be a man, tighten it up, and we've never really had that kind of conversation. So maybe that kind of applies, and maybe that adds on to this thought of toxic masculinity. Maybe it comes from a place of maybe a lack of empathy. I don't know what it is. It really is. When I hear toxic masculinity, the term toxic masculinity, to me, it really is an alien subject to me. Like, my mind has a hard time, just wrapping itself around the concept. Like, what is toxic about masculinity? I can't hold it.
I want to remind. I just want to remind the people that please leave comments on this section. If I know this might be new to some of you, like not never hearing about this before, but I guarantee you the next segment, there's going to be some women commenting on this one. But Kelvin, anything else you want to say about the toxic?
Well, this is the thing. First of all, I think we have to recognize, it's almost like a play on words, because toxic masculinity, I don't think is suggesting that masculinity is toxic. It's almost like saying the term abusive relationship. It's not knocking relationships. It's saying that if you're in a relationship that's abusive, that's the problem. Toxic masculinity to me would be if you think because you're a male, that just allows you free reign to treat people any kind of way that you want to. And so if you think you can lord over people with that means you're taking your masculinity and you're being abusive with it, in my opinion. That's what it would be, as far as, the way you act, or the way I'm the man, you're going to listen to me, that type of situation. As far as the way young men are reared, to me, all of this stems back from the generation who raises you. That's it. If somebody is broken, if somebody is flawed, and they raise you, they will probably raise you to be broken and flawed. They will pass things that they believe that are incorrect, they're going to pass it on to you, and the things until you develop your own worldview, you may be stuck in that space. I remember having a friend, and when he was a kid, his father, I've only seen his father twice in my life, and I think he's seen his father 3 times in his life. And he said he remember when he was in 1st grade, his father said, when you go to school, make sure you get every girl in the class to give you something, money or something. Wow. And that's one of the things he can learn his father telling me. I thought that was the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life. And it was saying, like, basically, you need to learn how to exploit girls, or you need to be able to take advantage of women. That's what his father gave him. That's all he said. You see what I'm saying? So if you grow up like that and you start thinking that, to me, that is very toxic. Because you are a man, then you have a right to do that. Right. You know what I'm saying?
But here's the thing. But is that masculinity? Is that masculine? Is that something that is wholly the realm of masculinity, abusing people, exploiting people?
No, I don't think so. But I think what happens is, I think what his father was right, and I think his father was saying, you're deputized or licensed to do that because you are a male, and that's the way it should be. And if you do that, and you're taking a young man and you're telling him that, then what will happen is he'll probably grow into that person. It's the same to me as a person who takes their their daughter and son and treats the son and elevates the son over the little girl.
See, that's
and
the thing. When I hear all of this, to me, the way it flips in my mind is that's more about the detachment of your empathy, like, you know, how to see the other person as a person.
Gotcha.
And you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I get. I don't get that necessarily like that you are, as you say, deputized to do that as a man. It's just sort of almost like a conditioning to say, okay, I want to detach yourself from the humanity of another person. I just want to shout somebody out like that. So Curie said something. She said, black men are so conditioned to be strong or hard in the world, it makes it impossible for them to be vulnerable in relationships. I think that kind of, you know, maybe speaks to a little bit, man.
Because to me, like one thing with women that have dated me over the years, and just some of my women friends, and I hear the complaints from some of the guys they date. I agree with her. Guys are scared to talk and be vulnerable. Like everyone that knows me, I cry. Right? I cry undercover boss. I cry at all kind of shit. I cry at weddings. I'm that pink dude. But don't judge me. I listen. My man Greg's wedding. I cry like a baby, man. I don't like a lot, but I like seeing people happy. But I'm willing to be vulnerable because a lot of guys don't open up and talk. Like y'all know me. I'm totally transparent. I say what's on my mind. Right. I want to know people. So I don't want nothing misconstrued. I want to what I am. So I understand when the sister's saying that because a lot of dudes are scared of being vulnerable. Like it's okay. Like I could take down my shield sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So, but you can knock me with a couple of shots, but you don't knock me over. You know, so that I understand where this is coming from with that. You know what I'm saying? Kelvin, you about to say
well,
something?
when you are vulnerable, to be honest with you, that's the guy that gets played a lot.
Yeah,
because I know that because I've been there before. You know what I'm saying? And so what some of the older men used to tell us, don't be a punk. Don't let nobody play you out. So you go into this thing thinking that women are out to get you in some cases. So then you put your walls of defense up, and then she grows up with sometimes women that are telling her, because there's certain things. If you have a problem with men, or you've been scorned, or you whatever, it's not good for you to impart all that into a young lady. And if you are a man and you have issues with women, you shouldn't impart that into a young man or something like that, because you could take some of your own biases, pass it on to them, and it hasn't been their experience. Not every woman is going to play you out. Not every guy is a dog or these different things like that. To be honest with you, young men come into their sexual peak a lot earlier than women. And so somebody needs to address it and explain what you're feeling and all the different things like that, and understand that there has to be responsibility even in the midst of your desires and things like that. And if we don't get that stuff, you'll be unbridled. So a lot of this stuff is about not knowing. In other words, you're going into a game and you have no game plan. Yeah. And then when you lose, we want to know why. Because you weren't prepared. Yeah. Nobody ever told you.
I think that a lot of women, when they see a man, a little bit too vulnerable, too emotional, or whatever, I think there's women that see that man as being weak. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the thing is, like, when you're too nice, you're gonna get rolled. You're gonna get rolled on. And then when you're too hard, then you're that guy that's gonna be painted as a monster. To me, it's like it's got to be somewhere in the middle. You know what I'm saying? You got to be that guy that's got to stand up when it's time to stand up. And then when it's time for you to have some empathy or be sympathetic towards certain things, then you should be able to do that too. But to be that guy that's always, being soft, what they used to call them back in the day, simps.
Well, let me ask you this question. This was a situation years ago. D, I don't know if you remember this. There was a man and a woman walking through a park. I believe it was Brooklyn late at night. It was Brooklyn or Bronx. And there were some guys, and they took the woman into a bathroom and raped her. The guy she was with ran to get help. Wow. And so we had a debate with men and women at the time. And what do you think about his actions?
What he's going to use this? What is he going to use the excuse? He ran to get help. That's what he's used. That's the excuse he's going to use.
That's what he said.
To me, that's cowardly. I can't co-sign that. That's cowardly. That's cowardly. There's that's not even open for discussion. That's not even something you have to think about.
Listen, you men should, like, if you're the captain of your ship, you're supposed to go down with the ship, right?
Correct.
So
correct.
if we in this relationship, I'm the captain of this joint. I'm going guns blazing, and
Correct.
if I win, lose, or draw, I'm not running. And Rod, you know me for a long time, and I know Rod for a long. We don't back down. I don't care. It could be 3, 4 dudes. I don't back down from shit. So
now, what people did to counter that was they said that there's no way he could have fought 3 guys. So therefore, now I'll be with you. I'm with you too. If that's somebody I love, that's my mother, that's my sister, that's somebody I can't leave them.
Let me tell you something, Calvin. You shouldn't stand by and watch that happen, even if you didn't know the person.
No, I get that, but I wouldn't have been out there with nobody else at that time. That's what I'm saying. Like
I mean, you walking down the street,
but no, I get what you're saying.
Something like that happen.
No, I get what you're saying. I actually agree with that.
I got daughters,
and excuse me for phrasing it like that. I actually agree with what you're saying. What my point is this. What I'm saying is, at that moment, whether she comes out of it or not, she could never look at you the same. You could never be the same.
Right.
You cannot.
Nobody
you
should
could
look at
not
you the
leave. Right. To me, you cannot leave. You and I agree with D on that. You've got to be willing to die at that moment, even if it's to buy her some time, even if it's to something like that. And I always had a philosophy: when you are jumped, you got to get one person. That's it. You can't beat 10 persons. You gotta get one person.
You gotta bite. You gotta bite them. You gotta bite them.
One person.
You can't come by and scratch.
No, you can hold an army off with one bullet. You get the right person in the right position. They'll call everybody else off.
Yeah, but now is this conversation?
Please stop hitting him. He's killing me.
Right, but is this masculinity? What we're talking about right now?
But I think Derek. Masculinity. I mean, in other words, you are a male.
You know, is this what?
Yeah, but you. No, but what I'm saying is this: I don't think that toxicity is a synonym to masculinity. I don't think the two are merged. I think what they're saying is, if you are masculine and that masculinity is expressed in a toxic way, in other words, if your whole perspective is shut up and go make me something to eat, I'm the man, I run this house, this, that, and the third, that is toxic. No, and you're doing it because you are a male. And males have privilege. Period. Males have privilege around the globe. Males are treated better than women historically. I've seen certain cultures where the female can't even discipline her children if they are males.
I've seen that too.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So Derek, so it's not to say if you're a male, you're toxic. It's to say if you take that privilege as a male and you abuse it, that's toxic masculinity. Now, I could be wrong because I've been wrong before. I'm just saying that's my perception of it.
And D'Angelo, she's a ride or die chick. She said we fighting together. So I'm with her right there.
Yeah. The thing, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to take a split second before I jump in, and that's because I'm going to be looking for something to pick up. You know what I'm saying? Like a stick or a rock or something. Something. Right. You know what I mean?
You got to bite them.
We can't go out biting. Everything's gonna count at that point.
Everything's on the board. Since we on relationships from that, I want to talk about a little bit about relationships, and I know the ladies might start chiming in on this one. So, Rodney, I always say a lot of women want to date their sons and raise their men.
Oh, yeah, and I say a mother will raise her son to be a man that she wouldn't want herself.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point. So that's a very good point.
The thing is, like, I've had conversations with people that have sons, and they say, "You think I'm doing a good job with my son?" I go, "Well, would you date him if he was a man?" That's right there. And they usually don't answer. That'll let you know right there. If he was a man and he wasn't your son, would you date him? Would he meet your criteria?
Yeah, but you know what I see? Know what I see a lot now? Maybe it's social media, like. I see a lot of women praising their sons over and over and over again. I mean, that's good. That's your son. That's your heart. That's what you do. Yeah. But then they talk junk about the man they with that they created that child with. So, and then they can still be in the household together. It's not like they split up. They just belittle this man all the time. They say my king this and all of this stuff. They look like he's dressed up fresh. And they give him these big ass parties and all this other stuff for to the man. But the husband, he don't even get the big piece of chicken when he come home. So
man, he's wrong. You can't get that big piece of chicken, brother.
Gotta get the big piece of chicken.
I don't know. Is that her fault or is that his fault? I don't know, man.
I don't. When I come home, I don't want no gizzards. I don't want no liver. I want that.
I'm doing my job. Make sure I get the big piece.
Big piece of chicken. Right up.
So, D, what do you think that comes from? What do you think that comes from?
Well, man, it's a few things with the women is because to me when I was working in elementary school, right, and they had a lot of kids that were the program was in elementary school was at risk of attendance, and when you get to talk to the parents, like, damn, the kids not coming to school, he's like, what, between kindergarten and 6th grade, 5th grade, it was because that was the only thing they had control over in their life was the child. So with them controlling that child, that was that thing they had control over in their life. They have control over their work. They damn sure may not have control over their relationship. They probably didn't have the control over their relationship with it. They was raised in by their parents or parent or grandparent, whatever like that. But they had this child, so they praise this child. They put him on this pedestal more than they put on the person that created the child with them or they living with. So that was some of the takebacks I got from that. And I thought, like, wow, it was kind of deep to me, but that's what I saw.
That's a very, very good point, and it's actually sad. I mean, I think when you're raising, especially a young man, first of all, there's a lot more, especially in our community, that they got to contend with. And so I think coming up when I was a kid, I was taught never to hit a woman. Like I was just taught never to hit. I mean, it was just that's not even on the table. It just wasn't an option. And what I've noticed is there's some men who can only answer conflict with conflict. It doesn't matter who.
The reason why is because what I used to notice when I used to work for the police department going domestic, because they have issues with expressing themselves. So they only can express themselves through violence. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I used to notice too. Like sometimes I would see domestics where you could see that the wife is really quick with the mouth and she knows how to get him going and he can't express himself quick as her. So then he would resort to violence in order to get her back, which is not right. It's not horrible. But I've seen that in a lot of cases and why men resort to violence because they can't express them.
Now, this is what I've seen. D, and this may be countercultural to what you were expressing. I have seen some of the mothers have disdain for the boys because he looks like and reminds them of their father. Yeah. I've heard this expression a lot. That might be me. That might be me. You just like your father. You're just like your father. You've heard that when we be in the barbershop, there'd be a lot of single, women that would bring their boys to the barbershop.
Yep.
And it was this thing, and it's like, you're just like your father. And I always think about, you chose his father.
Correct.
Yeah. Like you have to take some responsibility of that. You know what I mean? And that's why I believe if you are going to have children with somebody, you should probably know who they are, because there's a chance that some of them chromosomes are gonna line up. I mean, that's just what it is.
Ain't that something though? You're talking about a generations old experience, man. You know what I mean? Because that's been happening. Your mother's generation, your generation, it'll be happening to the next one. You remind me of your father. You know what I mean? Just like your father. How far back does that go? You know what I mean? So you stop and think about it, man. And how does that contribute to the topic, and to the mentality?
So with that said, what like for guys like some of us been divorced, married, Kelvin, you probably still out in the dating scene. What works? What makes a good marriage? What makes a good relationship from your guys' point of view?
You want me to?
What makes a good relationship or marriage? Like what do you see that's the glue that holds those things together or brings those? Yeah.
Well, I'll start off with this. Like we talked earlier, what I'm saying, I still believe that people shouldn't get married young. You know what I mean? The other thing I would tell people is you got to understand, when you get married, it's not about you, when it's not about just her anymore. It's about you guys as a family coming together as a union and building together. You know what I mean? Now, the number one thing that I'm going to tell you, you got to enjoy the other person's company. If you're not into that person or want to be around that person, and that's early in a relationship, I'm telling you, don't marry them, because you're going to get worse. Yeah, you're gonna, hopefully you'll be with them the rest of
Well, that's the plan, right?
Yeah, that's what the plan is in the beginning. Like, you got to enjoy your spouse's company. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to be friends. You got to be able to laugh together, tease each other. You know what I'm saying? You got to be comfortable around each other. Thing is, too, you got to basically focus on the mutual likes and enhance those things in a relationship. If you guys like going to the movies, both movie buffs or whatever, go to the movies, once a week or have a movie date. You got to stick with those things that you guys both enjoy doing together. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the true test in a marriage and a relationship is you and me and my wife had this conversation many times. You got to be able to not only go to the party, you got to be able to go to the funeral. Because the reality of it is there's going to be hard times.
Yeah.
So the thing is too, when things get rough, you can't change your clothes. You got to keep the clothes dirty. We get in it and get dirty. That's it.
Yeah.
And we come out of it together. It's a union. It's a team. I've seen marriages where people, this is, oh no, that ain't hers. That's my stuff. Or this and nah, ain't none of that shit. That shit is the y'all stuff. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, you can't have a separation or division in your marriage because it's just going to create bigger divisions. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to build together. And if you can't build together, you ain't going too far. That's the bottom.
I hear you, man.
I agree that. I also think communication is huge. I think this idea, I think it's very, very important that you know how you fight.
Yeah.
Like, in other words, you got to know when you get into it, how does, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How does this
fair,
work?
Man.
Right. Like, right. Exactly. I think in other words, sometimes if you're wrong, you can't be like, well, I was right 5 years ago. What about that? I mean, at the end of the day, you need to, at some point, be able to say, look, you know what? I did, I performed a wedding one time. And this young lady wrote her own vows. And she said something that I thought was just profound. She said, I will respect you even in disagreement. And I thought that was so important to say, you know what I mean? Because I've seen certain people, when they get angry, the gloves are off.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen the gloves. I've
been guilty of that myself. I noticed that. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say most men are guilty of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you heat a battle, like you say, you forget sometimes there's rules. But there's a thing that me and my wife, we practice, but she enforces it more than me. The thing is, you can't allow your ego to be bigger than the relationship. You know what I'm saying? Because if the person, if the ego is more important than the relationship, it's going to tear it down.
You know what I say? When I say one of my sayings is, you can be right or you can be happy. You never get to be both, brother. You know what I'm saying? In a relationship. That's real. And I think when we talking about relationships, we talking about what keeps marriages together. A lot of it is choice too, man. You got to choose to be happy, bro. You just got to choose it every day. Every day you get up, you got to choose it, man. And part of that is, making informed decisions based off of trust and honesty. You know what I mean? So you got to put all your eggs on the table, put all your food on the table, man, and and make sure you clean it, man. Don't leave nothing there, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because at least
we got a question, and I'm gonna chime in on this one too. So Nikki wrote, so what do you guys think about having separate bank accounts? So
that's a big commonly asked question.
I know all the time. So
all the time.
I think it boils down to the personality of individuals, man. What works in your relationship. Like, myself and my wife, we keep same bank accounts. You know what I'm saying? We work together. But I know other married people who are just as healthy in their marriage, and they keep separate. You know what I mean? So it's about how you manage money. The important thing is to know how to manage money, though. Come to agreement on how you manage money.
And who's better at managing the money?
And be honest about who's better
about it. Yeah, I'm not good with money.
Correct.
If you're not good with money, you got to say it. I'm not good with money.
Exactly. And that, like me, to me, it's about what works for your relationship. And like you said, who's better with money? If that works for your relationship. Me, I like a separate bank account because I don't want nobody knowing how much I spent in the boom boom room. Because I get a little wild.
You keep your situation together, bro. I understand that.
You know what I'm saying? It's important in your relationship. When you see me taking money from the ATM and it says $200 from taking out an ATM at Licks and Sticks, I don't want nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to explain myself on that. But that's just me. But no, seriously though. I believe in, for me, like I said, for me, having separate accounts and a joint account. Because sometimes, like, I think that's worked best, because some things you might want to try a surprise and buy me a gift or whatever, or you go with your girlfriends or whatever. I don't like. I'm not gonna sweat it. It's got to be a trust system in there. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, like, you should only marry somebody that you can build with. It's like, you know, in the Caribbean, the people have the susu thing. So if I got a lady who's like, yo, boo, every week we're gonna put $100 aside, so then a month, you know what I'm saying, we got $800 because we're gonna put down on something else. That, you know what I'm saying? But then you got your own separate thing, and you do your thing. If you want to give money to your mom or whatever it is, I really don't care what you do with your money, but as long as we have agreement on this part, and that's what I rock out with. But I do like separate account for my strip.
Pretty much the joint account should be paying the bills in the house. You know what I'm saying? You have your own separate account. Your paycheck may go into that account, and you funnel money into the joint account, and it pays the bills. You have an agreed amount that you put in the morning. But the thing is, D is 100% right. The thing is, the more separate you are, the less you guys are going to achieve and build together. Because if you have everything on a separate note, then you can't come together to do anything. Everything is separate. You know, and the thing is, and separatism is going to breed secrets. You know what I'm saying? So the bottom line is, you got to be comfortable. I tell a lot of guys too. I say, yo, let me tell you something. If you know deep and down in your heart that you can't stop running around, you can't stop being in the streets, you know, you want to be with other people or whatever, don't get married. Don't get married, because I'm telling you right now, you're gonna be up on the killing floor in family court. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to go through all that stuff. But the thing is, you got to know you got to know you're ready. If when you're ready to settle down, you got to find somebody that's either already settled down or they prepared to settle down too.
Yeah, it got to be equal. Like they said, you know, Kelvin, you always say it got to be of equal yoke. So, you know what I'm saying? So they have to be. You know, I'm like, you know, I like messing with Kelvin. You know, that's my man. You know what I'm saying? So, but you know, because if you like you said, Rod, you have to know who you marry, right? And you have to be ready for that. And you got to. And these questions, I think, even in dating, when it comes to finances, you have to start asking these questions. Like, it's got to be like a damn near interview, because you got to ask about how you with money. You got to ask questions about how would you raise? And I tell a lot of men and women, ask them, was they raised by a man? So if you're a woman, it's good. And how was your father's relationship with your father? Because then you know how he's going to be as a man. And how's your relationship with your mom? So you know how he's going to treat you. You know what I'm saying? Because you know.
Yeah, I see where you're going with this, D. But I'm gonna be straight from there. I'll be honest with you. Like, there's certain things in dating when you first start dating a person. I'll be honest with you, shouldn't even be having a conversation about. And if you start off the date, first, second date, asking all those questions, I'm out.
No. I'm not saying on the first date. I'm talking about as things go. Because you got to slide them. Okay. Yeah, you got to slide down. You don't do that the first time. Because I'm running for the woods myself or some shit.
There's women that's doing that. Like, you getting on a date with a person very early, right? And then you want me to run my whole pedigree down to you on the first and second date. To be honest with you, I don't even know if there's going to be a second date. I don't even know if there's going to be a third date. The thing is, it's about growth. And I always notice too, sometimes I talk with women and they say, oh, he's got to meet my criteria. And I always say, well, are you meeting his? Because it's a two-way street. It's not just about your criteria. You know what I'm saying? But the reality of it is too early in a relationship, like you scaring a guy off. You want to know about his mother. You want to know about his father, where he grew up, how much money he got in the bank, what's his goal and aspiration. As you start to get to know each other, all that stuff should just fall out.
It's going to come together naturally.
Yeah, it's all going to come together.
When you get into that first situation, man, you first meet the person, just get to know their personality.
Exactly. Stop having these high expectations.
If you like them, you know what I'm saying?
But there's certain things today, women got to really find out from jump. Do you like women? Like, straight up, exclusively.
Like, we would assume if you wanted to date.
You can't assume that no more, brother.
Rod, they may be on both sides of that street.
Yeah, like, my man, you gotta.
But I'm talking to the point of, you know, man, woman that like man, woman, you know, that type of thing.
Do you own a canary yellow blazer with rhinestones on it? If you do, it's a wrap.
Are you a big Prince fan?
You can be a fan of his music. You cannot duplicate
let me tell you something. I know what you're gonna say, D. You can like his. Kelvin just said it. He said you can like his music, But yo, you shouldn't be going out buying a Prince jacket. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be going out having a Prince poster on your wall.
Hold on, man. Back in 92, no, back in 92, I had the pants with my ass out. Come on, son.
D, don't endorse it, brother. Come on, D. Now I gotta look at you different, brother.
Come on. That's the only man I've seen wear some high heel pumps like that.
I was trying to get the curl, but I burned my scalp trying to get that damn curl. Like that shit, you know?
Yo, I'm gonna give women a big heads up tonight, right? The thing is, too, I think that there's a lot of women that make a mistake about trying to find somebody that has all these things that fit their criteria instead of meeting somebody that they can build and that they can grow with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if not, I'm gonna tell you from a male's perspective, if I got everything and I'm doing it and I'm making money and I got my place and I got my car and I got a great job and all that, I'll be honest with you, most of those guys are not going to be willing to settle down because they're a commodity. They're going to be able to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they're going to play the field a lot. You know what I'm saying?
They got no shortages.
They got no shortages. So the thing is, you wanting this guy with all this stuff is probably a bad thing because, like I said, this guy's still ripping and running the streets. He's an eligible bachelor.
So, yeah. So, guys, we running out of time. We 2 hours went pretty fast. I didn't know it was that fast. I mean, I'm just watching the clock. We over time by a few seconds here. So I want to say thanks for all you guys for being on the show. Thanks for everyone that coming into the chat for chopping it up with us tonight. It was very fun for our first night. Please leave comments. We want feedback. We want to build. Like we said before, we just learned how to. This is our first time. None of us are professional at this. We just feel like we have some things to say, and we want to share with you guys. We want you guys to have a voice. We want to have a voice with you. And we want, like we said, we want to build. Please, if you have a business, let us know what the business is. Get in touch with Black and Latino Media, and get in touch with myself personally. You can find I'm on Instagram as Damon P14, Facebook at Damon Pearson. Rodney, you can tell them where to find you at.
Oh, I'm on Instagram, Mr. Daily Routine.
Oh yeah, you can find me. I'm here on Facebook, just Derek Bazemore, man. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to find, bro.
And Kelvin,
I'm not on Facebook. I'm on phone book, so just call me.
Kelvin, old school. He back in old school.
That's right. I'm trying to avoid the student loan people for trying to be my friend on Facebook.
No, I'm telling you right now, Kelvin, they're going to get you. They're going to find you. They're going to find you. They're going to find you.
Also, the Black and Latino Meetup group you can find us on and those platforms. So we'll be back next week, Saturday. Follow us on YouTube and Facebook. We thank you all for our first show, and I'm glad you took the ride with us tonight. And please give us some topics you want us to talk about. I mean, we want to hear from the voice. You guys have a voice with us, so we want to make sure this is like our show together, people. So thank you for the first night, guys. I'll talk to you soon. I love you all, man. Peace, brothers, and stay black. All right,
my brother. Have a good one.
Love you, T. That's
good night, everybody.
Black men can't be afraid to tell each other they love each other.
Exactly. And I love my brother.
I love y'all.
Love y'all.
Love my brother. All right, my brother. Have a good night. God bless.
All right. Best. Peace.